Yeah, and then we should be live. So, how you doing, man? It's good to see you.
I'm good, man. Thanks for having me.
So, I guess the main question is one, I want to talk about the 10-year anniversary show, but also I want to ask if, like, are y'all going to keep playing after this show, or is it just going to be like, because I see that you've been actually, like, you played the hook kind of like surprisingly recently. So are there more shows after this, or would I be giving the game away?
Yeah, that's the plan. But really, we've kind of been devising this plan to do more, have a better online presence. We want to start like a
Yeah.
Patreon page and
Yeah.
get a YouTube channel going and stuff, rather than killing ourselves on the road too much.
It's yeah. No, I feel
So
that. I
yeah,
did
our
a
plan.
Patreon thing too.
Yeah, our plan is to in like one of our basements or something, or a studio, get someone to film stuff, make it look really good, and
Yeah.
then have like a subscription thing and put out content every week and stuff. And yeah, I'm really excited.
That'd be cool. Yeah. Well, we'll talk about live stuff when we're on, like, doing a radio break too, just to make sure people get the who, the what, the where, and the why. Um, but yeah, we'll also talk about the Patreon thing if you want to let that cat out of the bag too. Like, I also kind of
Yeah, so
respect.
are we not, I'm confused, are we
Well,
live right
we're
now?
live on the internet, but, like, it's like this
Oh,
weird thing where it's just like
okay.
there's like this whole subsection of people who only watch this.
Right, okay, yeah, because I hear the radio going on in the back. I'm like, okay, I was
Yeah.
making sure. I
Uh,
was like, was that
and
an
then
interview question?
no, yeah, and then there's like this whole section of people who don't watch this whatsoever. Like, it's just a radio thing, and they don't know this exists. And then there are some people who try to, like, watch both. Um, so yeah, sometimes I might retread a question of just like, oh, that's really cool.
Yeah,
People
sure,
don't
sure.
know about
This is the
that.
behind the scenes.
Yeah, so it's kind of like a '90s public access show
Yeah.
meets a
I mean, yeah, the thing is, we don't have a Patreon link, but right yet. We're
right.
kind of, we're focusing on, rehearsing for the
Yeah,
bunkers thing. And then we're gonna tackle that stuff after. And then yeah, we're probably gonna do shows as well. But
yeah, I think
I mean, yeah, there's no reason in keeping it a secret. I mean,
sure. Yeah, I guess it's like the only thing. It's just like, oh, if we mention that on air, of just like having a place where it's just like, hey, go to this link. But we can just mention it here too, because it's like, I don't know. So, like, so how are you setting that up? Like, do you have your own studio, or are you, like, just gonna rent a place out and just kind of like take cuts?
well, two of our band members, we have our percussionist Doug is right now he's like setting up his basement, and he's like, he kind of has filming content in mind. And we
Nice.
our keyboard player Kevin Dorsey also has a nice spot, and we're gonna kind of just play it by ear and do a studio if we have to, kind of like basically that Corey Wong model
Yeah,
of filming in studio stuff.
that
Yeah,
dude's a machine. I admire the heck out of that dude, because I remember a long time ago, my punk band was recording in the same studio he was in, and it was weird because I kind of went to school with him, but, like, we were like, he was already, like, graduating when I was coming in, and
McNally.
he was just like one of those cats where it's just like, oh, that's like, that dude's
Yeah,
really good. So I
yeah,
run into him later, and it's just like he's like recording his new stuff and then his Christmas album, like, at the same time. Like, that dude just hustles. Like,
yeah,
he's never not hustled, and he's like
yeah.
one of the best in the game. Like, I think I don't think it's recognized, because, like, there's like this weird thing against rhythm players,
Yeah,
but, like, that dude is insane. Yeah.
yeah.
Also, like,
Treating it like a job, you know,
it is.
as you should. Yep, it is a job.
It's a
It's not
legit
just
job.
leisure.
Well, that's like another thing. Like, Smoke and Joe was on last week, and we were kind of talking about that, of just like, there's this weird kind of like mindset amongst certain music scenes that people don't really view it as a job. And it's just like, it's like, oh yeah, you guys must have like a ton of fun. It's like, yes, we do. But like going on tour, while it's fun, isn't the vacation y'all think it is.
Oh yeah.
Like it's really hard on your body. Like to a certain extent, like you kind of have to be insane to do it. And which is why I think like it's kind of cool that people were shifting to the this kind of thing. It's just like, I don't know, because then you can just do whatever's comfortable. You don't have to like sit and worry about like, oh, what is trending on the goddamn algorithm or whatever. Because not everyone is gonna fit into that mold. You know, like you kind of need like a space to kind of just do why people like you and not conform to like TikTok is in. We got to do like 9 seconds. It's just like I don't.
Yeah, TikTok. It overwhelms my brain when I see TikTok videos come up on other apps.
Oh yeah,
a robot voice. It's like how it be when, but
yeah. And it's,
we're hoping the online stuff like translates to bigger gigs stuff. So thought process there.
That would be fun to see. It'd be fun to see. So like, are you gonna go live, or are you gonna like pre-tape a bunch of stuff until you're like, this works out?
I think I backlog a bunch of stuff, but we could go live too. Yeah, and like mix it down and then put it out, so it's really nice. Like, yeah, the thing I was thinking of was like, maybe like one video for free, and then have a screen that says like
you got it. I think that's
how $5 or $6 or whatever we decide.
Yeah, I think that's something people don't understand is like you have to give a taste for free.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's like, because like if you do everything Patreon exclusive, it's just like, well, I don't. There's also a weird line too. Like if you give too much away for free, people stop subscribing to your Patreon because they're just like, well, all right, I can. So like I don't know. Nobody knows. It's just like the second.
We'll see how it goes. I haven't done it yet. This is all.
Exactly. And the second someone says like, you know what you should do, it's like, just don't listen to that guy, because if that actually worked, he would be doing it. No one actually knows what works whatsoever.
Yeah, I'm that guy right now. You know what you should
do? Yeah, you should do. You should do. You should do this. You should do. Yeah. You should listen to me talk for another 5 minutes. Those guys are usually on blow.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, so we got 6-ish minutes on this track, and then we're going to be
on the radio. Okay.
Yeah, on the radio and on the internet at the same time.
I see.
So I usually kind of do 5 questions, but sometimes they just kind of naturally come up in the conversation, so things might change, especially if we already talked about it. But I think first things back is just talk about like the fact that you're celebrating 10 years, just because that's really hard to do. Entire governments don't even last that long sometimes. We'll definitely bring that up. And then I want to talk about the bunkers run and other stuff. But if there's like anything you want to specifically mention or have me bring up, let me know, because we can just like naturally work that in.
Yeah, I mean, like maybe just that bunkers, our Thursday residency is where we started as a band, and against there, that might be a good lead in or something.
Yeah. How long were you at that residency? Because you were there for like quite a while.
I think it was 2012 to 2017, maybe 16.
Bunkers is one of those spots. Like, when I show people around who have never been to Minneapolis, like I take them there for like a Monday or a Sunday night for like the combo. Yeah. Like it's just I don't know. Yeah. Did y'all ever have like a caboose residency for a little bit, or am I?
We actually almost switched over to the caboose because it was like 18 plus instead of 21 plus, and then we decided
that's kind
And
of
then we
me.
decided if it's not broke, don't fix it, and we stayed. And we're like, so yeah,
Bunkers
and then we
is fun,
stopped,
though.
and then we eventually stopped because we wanted to make ourselves more valuable playing on a weekend in the cities, you know,
Yeah.
because and then do bigger shows like, every couple months or so.
It's hard to say because the cities are such a weird market. Like there's top tier talented bands that like elsewhere are a thing, but in the cities it's like sometimes it's like it's weird, and sometimes you're not the weekend band. Like
Yeah.
sometimes it's all better on the weekend here, and sometimes it's like easier to get people out on like a
Yeah, and
weeknight.
those are
And I
like
see
two
bands.
different those are two theories. Like is playing too much bad, or is it not that bad? Is it
I,
good to
I
stay
guess
in
it
people's
depends.
brains, I mean,
Yeah, it depends.
it's
What
really all
you
guesswork,
do.
I think.
Yeah, it like because I think certain bands and certain genres like you want to be playing more, uh, but certain bands it's almost like in your best interest to like keep things close to the vest. But
Yeah,
like
like with us, we do like a lot of improv, and we try and make the set list different and stuff
every
week
time,
to
yeah,
week. And with improv, it was like the more you play, the tighter you get. The you
yeah,
know
oh yeah, and
cues become way easier, and it's not like a strict thing, the same thing every time, kind of.
it does get like to a point where like you want to like plan ahead because then you feel like a baseball player like playing yourself in shape where it's just like all right we got this residency this is our
Yeah,
band practice now.
yeah,
Like,
yeah. We'd try and uh, bring in new songs as much as possible and stuff, whether they be
yeah,
covers or originals. But yeah, it is a grind. It is a grind, but
oh totally,
yeah,
and
it
it's just like
definitely made us who we are for sure.
oh yeah, I think it's the best thing for bands is to like just go just get on stage, just do the thing.
Oh yeah,
and
there's
and like
recordings of the early ones that I want to throw into the ocean.
yeah,
It was like 2012. Joe Dunn, my band, the
yeah.
other lead singer and guitarist, and I were both under 21. We were under 21 when we started the residency. Occasionally, we'd sneak a bag of wine in there in the green
Oh
room.
yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Like I think we all have a venue that was like serving us underage.
Yeah, yeah, we did. Oh yeah, but they weren't serving us. They were, we were sneaking that. But
Yeah.
yeah, but like, we didn't know how to banter at all. Like our bandmates would be like, "Hey, say something to the people." We'd be like,
Like why?
"Hello, thank you." Sorry.
There's like a stage banter is an art. I don't think people give it the respect it's due. Like when someone's good at it, it's like watching a stand up.
Yeah,
But they make it look so easy that it's
yeah. You
like,
can
oh,
you can you can lean on making noise with your instrument though, unlike stand up. Like I have nights where it's way more comfortable than others. Oh yeah.
So we just had Miles Davis there. And if you're just tuning in, it is the top of the hour here at Fresh Air Community Radio, and you're tuned into Desert Islands, the show where I make mixtapes for my guests based on the 10 records they would bring to a desert island. That was Miles Davis off of In a Silent Way. And today I'm making one for Frogleg, and I got Dimitri with me. If you're playing along at home, we are live on our Facebook and Twitch and YouTube, if that is your thing. If you want to play both at the same time, please don't do so while you're driving. It gets archived. You can watch it later. So yeah, we were talking about, well, basically we're just kind of swapping war stories about bunkers because y'all are celebrating 10 years as a band, as Frogleg, and y'all kind of, like, it kind of started at bunkers. Like, so you were like, did you say 2012 to like
2012.
2017?
Yeah, it was like it was around the same time. It was I think I remember it was like during the state fair, so it's not lining up perfectly. So I picked like the weekend after the state fair on purpose. That was kind of my
That
idea.
weekend has gravity though. Like it's
September 9th and 10th.
wild. It's wild how that dilutes everybody's draw.
Yeah.
Because everyone's at the fair. Everyone is
Yeah.
at the fair. And there's bands that normally you would play gigs with already playing at the fair. So it's
Yeah.
like it's tough sledding if you're playing the weekend and
Yeah.
you're not at the fair.
Yeah, I've run into this before for sure.
So you've been you had a residency at Bunkers, and this is where you're going to celebrate 10 years as a band at Bunkers. So we're going to talk about these shows in greater detail after the calendar, but let's just drop some breadcrumbs right now. When is the show for the 10-year anniversary going to be? There's a few of them, right?
There's two. It's September 9th and 10th. It's a Friday and Saturday. We got Nick the Feelin', Nicholas David opening
nice.
the first night, from season 3 of The Voice.
Yeah.
And then up and coming artist Ruth is opening the second night. And
Nice.
we're doing 2 full sets each night. We're gonna have some different guests. And we're super stoked.
Well, if that sounds like a good time to you, check out Frogleg at Bunkers. We will be talking more about those shows coming up. If you want to hang out with us off mic, head to our social media. That's where we're going to be hanging out. But for now, I got some Curtis Mayfield and some Funkadelic here on Desert Islands. You can still hear me, right?
Yep.
Cool. I feel like we are public radio, so like I feel like every time I touch a button, there is a potential for me to like shut the whole thing down.
I just say that was cool as hell coming out of Miles Davis going, that was Miles Davis. Oh, I got chills. I've always wanted to do
that. Thank you. And then seriously, thanks for doing this show. I know it's kind of like I don't know. Like doing press is weird. Just it's just
I've done very little in the past. We did Jackson Bucks one time, and that was
Jackson's
in the studio.
Good guy. I like Jackson.
Yeah. This is actually like really nice that we're doing it remote.
Yeah, I actually like it better because one, the video is just kind of. I've noticed there has been like this whole thing where like when I was just doing the show, it would be like a lot of people going like, oh, I didn't know you had a radio show. And now that we do the video, I'm getting more.
That's probably why I know. Yeah.
I'm getting more people coming up to me going like, I didn't know you were a musician. Like, I didn't know you played. Like, you play like a lot. Like, that's weird. I didn't know. So the videos kind of help. But for me, I just, no one has to get their parking validated, and no one has to take 2 hours.
I think I probably feel a little more comfortable too.
Yeah, it's like you can just hang out, and also sometimes I get people who are like on the road, and they're just like in their car, like they just park somewhere and put the phone on the dash or something. Those are kind of fun. But
internet's the end of the game these days, man.
Well, it's like it's the internet's not all bad. Like there is some things that are actually pretty cool about it.
Either really good or really bad.
You can't read that. I think my goal is to get famous enough where I have someone else do social media because it's the worst. It's the worst, and you can't read it. Don't ever read it. Yeah. Even the positive things, don't read it because then you're getting high on your own supply, and then you get worse. And then you just get sucked into that stupid thing, and it's all you're thinking about. And it's just like, I hate it. I try to treat it like LinkedIn.
None of it's real. Yeah, people are just like firing off random statements and going to bed. They don't really mean most of it.
Well, I think for shit posting, it's kind of fun. Like where you're just like, all right, I obviously don't like. I'm not being serious about like I just
there's an art to the shit post. I'm a shit posting fan.
Oh yeah. Like there's also an art to that too. But now like it's I feel like the well is like so poisoned that like you can't even do that without like this whole horde of like wingnuts taking it way too seriously and like either like pushing it too far, and it's just like, all right, this is
that's the goal of most
I
of the
guess
posters. They want to
I don't have the constitution for it. I feel like I got that church nice beaten into me in Catholic school that like I would actually feel bad if like people's feelings got hurt.
That's good.
But what's funny is my friends who are shit posters and were good ones, I love watching their feed. Like I read all of it. Yeah. I don't participate though, because like I do think it's funny, but like I don't know.
Yeah, I wouldn't put myself. You put yourself out like that. I think I've dabbled.
I've seen you dabble, but like it's fun. Because like I can tell who's like serious and who's not. Like there's a few cats who get like political where I'm just like, oh, they're just shit posting, and then you keep reading and you're like, no, I think this guy actually, I think this guy's actually for real about some things. And it's like, all right, let's maybe ease up a little bit. But that's, like I said, it's an art, and if you can't do it, like, don't. But I don't know. Maybe that's a too.
There's
hard
nothing
line.
Stopping everyone in the world from constantly being able to do that at all times.
And how good of an idea is it?
Like the Paul Burnham song about the internet. Yeah.
Like that whole
thing everywhere, everything everywhere, all of the time.
Yeah. Would you like a little bit of everything? All of the time?
Brilliant.
It's like that song is like a Disney supervillain. Like it's like a whole special where he's like
one I watched like over and over again. I just when it starts speeding up, it's like that's what the internet is like. It's just like anxiety.
And like the video performance he did with it too is just like
all by himself,
like pretty amazing.
Yeah,
it's like and I think it's funny that it got like passed over like all the awards things, because I think he was like, oh yeah, like I think he was like,
it got huge praise, but I mean,
it got great praise, but I think he was saying some stuff that was a little too real.
Yeah.
Like especially his like whole thing where it's just like, maybe it wasn't a good idea to let these overlords just take everything. Also, maybe it wasn't a good idea for all of us to like constantly share our opinions about everything all of the time. Like maybe some of us should just shut up. And I'm like, I feel that hard, but at the same time, I'm one of those people like, nah, my opinion's right, so I should probably tweet it.
I remember
right, Bo?
I remember seeing him on like Comedy Central, like one of those half-hour specials, and then he's like blown up since then, and he's just
like an auteur too. Like I think that dude makes art. Like he's funny, but like that stuff is like seriously deep. And he definitely challenges the form, and I've always loved watching him for that, just because like even in like his specials where it's like he started to kind of like get away from like just the funny songs, and it's just like that whole arc of him like becoming who he is like, there we go. I'm babysitting our playlist robot because it's been getting a lot of things wrong.
What's it playing right now?
It's playing Curtis Mayfield, and then after that after this song is done, we'll be back on the air again. This will be like the local calendar, and then I'll play I was gonna play Walls of the Fort.
Sweet.
And then we'll have some local music, but it's just kind of like I'm literally gonna like turn and read the calendar from my laptop, and then we'll talk about like just more in-depth details about the bunker shows. Probably just say the dates again, and then who's playing with you and all that stuff. But this track's got like 5 minutes left, so there'll be a time for that. So we were talking about like Bo Burnham and shit. I kind of like watching stand up because between playing shows and then working them, sometimes I just don't want to go out. But like watching stand up specials is kind of like a good surrogate.
Yeah.
Like,
and as a musician, I have no idea how those people do it.
I don't know. Like it's
like
weird.
If a joke bombs, like they can't just start strumming.
No,
you
have to, like,
just like, yeah, forget about that. They just stand there and just take it. Like,
and we can like hide, like it just like it's. I do like there are weird parallels where it's like you can kind of watch from a performer's standpoint. It's like, oh, there's a rhythm here, and the way they're saying the words is almost like a musical phrase. So it's like there's that, but like there is something where it's just like I'm glad I'm not doing that because that takes way more work than people think it does.
I like love the structures of jokes and like how there's like a misdirect or something. It's so cool to see that. And like
I like how everyone has their own unique style too. It's like it's like a jazz musician or like there's also a lot of hip hop culture in it too, because it's just like there is a rhythm and you do have a flow, but at the end of the day, you kind of have to have a voice, and finding a voice is hard. That's so hard. Like, you know how hard it is for like to be able to like have a musician play 3 notes, and you're like, oh yeah, that's Jerry or that's Jack White. It's so hard to get there. Like that's can't take that for granted. So I respect it when you just see someone who has like they're just on top of their game.
Yeah, I still try and remind myself of that before I play every time. Like, just try and play purely from you, and not do what you're not do an imitation of what you're hearing. Which I catch myself doing all the time.
Oh, well, everyone does it because it's there's nothing really new under the sun. Like it's kind of like that, like those videos of like the evolution of the lick, and it's like everyone knows what the lick is, even if you don't, like you watch a video and they're like, where did the lick come from, and then you click on it and then you hear someone go it's like, oh yeah, that thing. It's just like everyone has those like phrases that you just learn. And like so like that's definitely a thing. Like it's kind of like the Victor Wooten thing where it's like when you're improvising, I'm not thinking about music theory. Like when we're talking, are you thinking about grammar? And it's like no, you're thinking about phrases or like or maybe like you learned a new word and you want to find a way to like use it in a sentence. Like that could be, but like you do need to learn phrases. And
I mean, if I learn a new lick, I listen back and that ends up sounding like forced. The best is like to like forget all of that, throw everything out the window,
and then it's like
to be totally present and not being like, oh my god, I'm on stage, people are looking at me,
right like, or it's like, all right, I got
every once in a while
I gotta do too much of this. It's like
just not thinking, just completely bouncing off.
I am very guilty of when I improvise. Like I get that weird ADD brain where it's just like you're so focused on this like thing that you learn that you're just trying to force it into a moment. And it's just like even if it's just like some sort of like finger thing that you're like, it took me so long to get this, so I'm gonna play it. And it's just like, yeah, but why? Why did you do that? Like, what was the point? What were you trying to say? And
maybe you do need to hack through it like that though to get it. Part of your vocabulary,
I think that's another reason I think a lot of musicians need to get through that stuff on stage. Like you should hammer it out in the practice room, but like there's always something that's going to happen on stage where it's just like No, you can't control that. Either like
It's always
either
different on stage.
the ground on the venue
Sounds
is
different on
like,
stage.
yeah,
It sounds different when people
yeah,
come into the venue after sound check
yep.
every time. And
So
then
you
your
gotta.
pedals will stop working, not at sound check. They'll stop working on the gig. That happened to me. We played
That
a gig, or
that
just a
that
couple weeks
always happens. It's just like
at
you set up
at
your
the hook
pedal board,
gig.
there's no
We
buzz.
so I ended up going straight into the amp, and thankfully I had a 2-channel amp, so I didn't just have a clean sound. So yeah, that was nice.
The older I get, the more I like. When I saw Neil Young just kind of going through the amp, I was just like, that kind of changed the game for me, because I was just like,
Seen Neil a bunch of times. Yeah,
it's just like,
love Neil.
I'm just doing that. I'm just like, just go straight. But like, I also kind of play mostly from the clean tone. Stand by. Curtis Mayfield live at the bitter end. We also had some Funkadelic at the top of that set. Making a mixtape for Frogleg here on Desert Islands, and they got some shows celebrating their 10-year anniversary in September next week after the State Fair. But here's some shows happening tonight and through the State Fair and beyond that you can check out while you're waiting for that one. So let's start with tonight at the Astor Cafe. Holy Hannah is going to be, well, I think she's got one more. I think Hannah Vonderhoff has been added one more. So next Wednesday too at the Astor. But I'm going to be playing with her. We're going to close in August. That's my next gig. And also tonight, Carrie Joy release show at Celtic Junction. She flew back from France for this, so you should check this out. We're also going to hear a track from her new record coming up. So tomorrow, Coma Twins, Partial Traces, and Lutheran Heat at Palmer's. We also have Turn, Turn, Turn at the Shell stage at the State Fair Friday. Cactus Blossoms at Dan Patch Park at the State Fair. We're also going to hear from their new record coming up here. Also at the State Fair, First Stab goes to the State Fair. This features Colin Bracewell, Megan Kridler from Kiss the Tiger. You might know her from that. We also have Nest Night, Obi Original, The Alarmists, and Al Church and the Congregation. This is all at Shell Stage starting at 8 p.m. on Friday. We also have Wayne Stock. I'm going to be at that with a few comics at Royal Foundry Craft and Spirits this Friday. Uncle Jesse's Comb, Full Catholic, Goodbye Mordecai at the 331. That's all this Friday. Saturday, Tim is a Rocker, Black Widows, Ethereal Rose, Scraps, and Natanya L. all at Palmer's on Saturday, starting at 6 p.m. Also, back to the State Fair, Cindy Lawson, Mae Simpson, Molly Brandy, Ricky Monique, Thomas Aban, Al Church closes things out at the Shell stage at the State Fair, and Cult Vibes release show at Ice House Saturday. Check this out if you like Mrs. and Death of the Ladies Man. It is members of both of those bands. There's also Damage Controller supporting and Din Din at Ice House on Saturday. Sunday, Algara, Capital, Citric Dummies, and Uranium Club at Eagles 34. Uranium Club at Eagles 34. You're not going to want to miss that. They don't play locally very often. Also Sunday, we have this is looking ahead. This is Labor Day at Palmer's Patio. Little Lizard, Trappistines, Controversial New Skinny Pill, Extraterrestrials, Snailmate, Moody Black, all at Palmer's. And then on Tuesday, Simon Calder will perform his record Hum at Sociable Cider Works on Tuesday. Think I missed something, or you just want to hear me mispronounce your band name on the air, email it to desertislandskfai@gmail.com. I curate that whole segment from the stuff you send me, and now my inbox is getting cluttered enough that I'm starting to miss things, so just make sure you send it before Tuesday. Wednesday, I'm definitely going to miss it, so I'm not ignoring you. I'm just I check things at weird times. But yeah, Tuesday, Desert Islands, KFAI gmail.com. If you're just tuning in, this is the show where I make mixtapes based on my guests' 10 records they would bring to a desert island. And today I'm making one for Frogleg. We're speaking with Dimitri of Frogleg. 10 years of Frogleg you're celebrating at Bunkers. So you had Ruth and Nick the Felon, who is also involved with East of Here, West of Now with Jackson Buck here at KFAI.
That's right. That's right.
So who is playing on which night? Is Nick on the first night or the second night?
Nick's on Friday, September 9th, and Ruth is on September 10th.
Nice. Okay, so we talked about this a little bit earlier in the off mic part of the show. But I saw that Frogleg had kind of a secret show already, and you have these shows coming up. Can we expect more live Frogleg in the future? Are you going to be touring as hard as you did, or are you going to be sticking locally? Is there more Frogleg on the horizon, or am I, giving away trade secrets at this point?
There'll definitely be some other shows, but we are going to focus on doing more content and stuff. We're going to get a Patreon page going and a YouTube channel. We're going to try and pump that up. We're going to try and log a bunch of content and hopefully release like one little video a week, and then one on the Patreon, which is a subscription website.
Yeah.
And we're gonna try and focus on the internet presence a lot, and gigs be maybe a little bit more secondary.
Yeah. It makes sense because it's hard to go on the road all the time. Every once in a while, but all the time.
Your weekend just to fill up.
It's a lot. Well, Bunkers, which you're going to be celebrating 10 years. We have that to look forward to. Keep your eyes out for the Patreon. But why don't we actually just listen to some Frogleg right now? Here on Desert Islands, this is Walls of the Fort by Frogleg. Just wanted to make sure I actually get to play the local tracks, because I realize we have like less than 30 minutes left on the show. So it's just like, oh, okay. One of the things I got to do is also play these underwriting cards, which we'll do them after this set.
No way I'm gonna play some 15-minute Herbie Hancock songs at you. So.
Well, I have an affinity for playing obnoxiously long songs on the air.
Yeah, then you can chill.
Oh yeah, well it's like, also like I'm at a station that is not gonna like give me grief for it. Like it's like there are rules at other stations where it's like even 7 minutes is pushing it. It's like sometimes I actually like playing the although today,
if I'm doing radio, it's KFAI and Jazz 88. It's back.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I switch between KFAI, Jazz 88, and I also do Radio K.
Radio K, yeah, of course.
Because they keep up with the new stuff I need to be paying attention to. Like I pay attention to some other critics and aggregators, not because like I respect their opinion, but as much as like they are good at finding new stuff.
Yeah, I mean you gotta hear the new stuff, or else you just stay in your top 10 desert islands are all from the 70s.
Yeah. And it's just like, and it's I firmly believe I would have the hardest time doing this show because my desert islands is like this amorphous, ever-changing thing. There's definitely like maybe 5 records that would be in there all the time. Like it depends what Coltrane, but like right now it would be Love Supreme. But like Coltrane's one of those artists where it's just like Coltrane is in there.
When you gave me that question, I'm like, I was thinking about it really hard, and I'm like, and then I was like, well, I mean that answer is always going to change, so I'm going to
It is.
pick
It
some
is.
things.
It's
I feel good about my list.
No, I like this list. I remember there's a lot of records like that. That Grateful Dead album, I remember my parents playing that all the time. I remember that like album cover, like
Yeah,
vividly.
San Francisco and New York.
Yeah,
Yeah. That was
yeah,
like the first one. I remember I was like in second grade and my dad was a big Deadhead and he
yeah.
had posters all over the, Jerry and stuff. And
We got a lot of that record. Working Man's Dead. Europe '72.
yeah.
Of course, American Beauty, but like mainly once Dick's picks started dropping, it was like my dad was collecting all of them.
Yeah.
And it's like, and then it's like became like him and his brothers kind of became like I don't know if they were actually tapers, but they were friends with the tapers, and
Oh,
because
that's where you wanted to be.
Yeah.
When you got you got the first cut before it got watered down and replaced.
Yeah, but like retaped and retaped and retaped and retaped. And it's wild for me because like I was raised by Deadheads, and they're kind of like I
didn't know that.
Yeah, I gone through a journey with the Grateful Dead because like I went through this whole thing where I was just like, oh yeah, it's just music. I like music because like when you're a kid, you're just like, yeah, let's listen to music. Yeah. And then you grow up and you're like, whatever my parents like is stupid. So it's like I was just like, I'm never listening to the Dead again. Like Jackson Browne is stupid. And then like when you graduate college, like you revisit it, and it's just like. But also like I've played in a lot of different bands where like I don't think I've done the same genre twice.
Yeah.
Like when I started playing guitar with like Maya and Illusion Valley, and I think we did a Bunkers gig.
I think so. Yeah. Yeah. Like, yeah. We were having openers for a while there.
Yeah. It was kind of wild to like enter back into that universe because like I think the last band I was in was like a pretty loud garagey punk band, and then going back into that world, it was like kind of a strange feeling, but it was like also like immediately like it's like I never left, and I was just like, oh yeah, this. It's like
I find myself doing with all my favorites is I go through big phases where I listen to them until I kind of despise it.
Yes.
and then I put it away for a long time, and then I come back to it. I'm like, yes, that's like my move. I recommend doing it. Like,
because then it feels like a warm, comfortable garment that you're like, oh yeah.
It feels like, oh no, this is the best.
Yeah. See this is what I managed to escape because like my brother took all of my uncle's and dad's tapes and like had his whole collection. I missed that altogether. Like
you got the first pick.
Well, like I mean I had access to it, but I never became one of those people that was just like, oh, like Althea 1977 like that where it's just like because there are people where it's just like you bring up the studio albums and they're immediately like, no, you can't do no. You gotta do these 3 concerts from these 3 years, these specific years.
I think Dead Set is a great like introduction for someone who doesn't know anything because that's live, but it's like it's selected from the best, and it's like it's got that slow Friend of the Devil, and a lot of people like prefer the fast one. I think you just kind of prefer the first version you hear.
I think there's a lot of truth to that because it's like that Lester Bangs thing where it's just like music kind of chooses you. Yeah. So like if the first thing that kind of got you exposed to it, even if like eventually you like give flowers to the other versions where it's like, oh, I see why this is like a thing. You're always going to kind of like the first cut is the deepest. It's like that's what made you fall in love with it, and it's just like, that's why opinions are complete bullshit anyway. It's just like it's so much conditioning and circumstances and like that person's own life. It's just like you gotta like what you like. But like the hard part for me is just like I would have no idea where to get started on the Grateful Dead's like live repertoire, because like other than the stuff I listened to when I was growing up, I don't have specific concerts. I don't have like
Yeah.
I remember seeing like Dark Star in San Francisco
Orchestra.
years ago, and like during set break I was hearing people like in the beer line talking about like, oh yeah, I knew it was this concert right away, because they cover just
Oh
concerts.
yeah, that's insane.
It's like, which is
I
like,
could probably tell you like what era based on the set
yeah,
list.
that's where I'm at. Like I could tell like,
I'm,
oh
I'm
yeah,
a pretty big dork. I mean, that's the thing. Of fucking Deadheads and jam band fans are all huge dorks.
oh yeah, yeah. It's like this is why like I never make fun of people who are really into Dungeons and Dragons, because it's just
it's
like
the same thing. It's the same thing.
It's the same thing. And like and usually the people who make fun of D&D are the people who are like really into fantasy football, and I'm just like, fellas, that is literally Dungeons and Dragons.
Fantasy right there in the title.
Like, it's like, you're not Aaron Rodgers. You're just playing him on TV. Like, you are literally playing D&D. And because like we're all the same. Like I get I think my biggest like vice right now is like getting stoned and going to jazz guitar YouTube, and just like jazz guitar or metal guitar YouTube, and just like learning
good vice.
Like all this
There's
stuff.
Vices in that.
Oh yeah, it's like when I got COVID, I learned all the tappy bits from Eruption because I realized I never learned it, and then like I was just like, all right, I learned that.
On my list for a while to learn some tappy things.
Well, it's just like also it's just like, what am I gonna do with this shit? Yeah. Like I'm not gonna use this in a song ever. Like the only time I might use it is just like maybe during a sound check where you're like,
yeah, look what I can do.
Yeah, it's just like I'm never gonna use this in a song. But now so that's why I go on jazz guitar YouTube, because it's the same mechanics and stuff that's really hard to do, but it's like in more of a wheelhouse of like, well,
realistic of something
not gonna fit in what I'm doing right now, but this stuff might. But it also reminds me of like, I don't know anything about anything. There's so much I need to learn. Like every day there's
out and whatnot. Yeah.
Oh yeah, there's just like some like dude with a YouTube channel who's like, you're trying to find this like weird, it's like, oh yeah, like I want to like learn enclosures for like these weird scales, and it's just like there's immediately some YouTube guy who's already done it and has like a bunch of licks, like, and it's just like,
there's a couple tricks I've learned that are just like, it's kind of faking it, like that stuff, like just like doing like going up a half step and coming back down.
Yeah.
The same Panatic. It's like, whoa, that guy's playing out. It's like,
no,
fooling you.
There definitely is. There definitely is like a Wizard of Oz thing with arpeggios that I think like people are like, oh, that person really knows what they're doing. It's just like it's an arpeggio. It's a pattern that I memorized, and it sounds pretty.
To the untrained ear, it's like wow, you're covering a lot of ground really quickly.
Yeah, it's like no, this is just muscle memory. I'm not actually thinking. This actually isn't really that much of an original thought. If anything, this is filler. Because like I get into that too much, where it's just like,
well, that's how you use it too, and like it goes back to that thing. You gotta forget, is this original? You go like
right. Because I do like the jazz technique of like arpeggiating stuff from a different voice leading, like from a different voice in the chord. And it's just like, oh, I'll harmonize over the chord that I'm doing rather than just playing a pattern. It's like, that's actually kind of cool. Yeah. But like, I get way too guilty into like, oh, I learned this thing, so I have to do it on stage now. And it's just like, no, you don't. You don't actually.
At least you're sitting around practicing and figuring out new stuff. I think even if you don't use it right away, it all contributes.
No, I think it's
knowing
it's all,
more. I think that even like will contribute to, if you're like playing on a folk record or something like.
Oh yeah.
Like I don't know. like
it
playing
changes.
simple. It just
Yeah.
helps your overall knowledge
Oh
of
yeah.
what to do.
I think it's always a good thing to keep learning, because it's humbling, but it's also exciting. Because like on one end you're like, oh, I'm never done, and that can be discouraging. Where it's just like, oh, I'm never gonna learn that. But like on the other end, it's
I've
like,
made
oh,
it. I've made it. That's it.
Yeah, yeah. Pack it in. I've
Maybe
done
John
everything I
McLaughlin
needed
for
to
it.
do. Oh yeah,
I think he's there. I think he's made it. I think there's nothing left. Absolutely.
I stand by.
The internet geeks at IP House are
Oh, never mind. I'm gonna play all these things that I forgot to play because we have like not much time. But yeah, it's like
Hey, I'm with Greg Hall at. I don't know if you're mentioning gigs again. I'm with Greg Hall at Palmer's on Friday night.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. I heard you mentioning Palmer's. It reminded me.
Yeah. Let's definitely.
Reminding listeners, most of the time,
I gotta
infections have no symptoms, so getting tested is the only way.
got ahead of myself here.
Appointments and more information available at
Let the wrong thing play.
Programming on KFAI is supported.
You let the wrong thing play. It's just playing.
Yeah, I gave away that Bob Dylan is the next song, and it was just kind of playing a little bit in the background.
Secret's out. The man behind the curtain.
That's okay. Pay no attention. All right, stand by here. So we had new Carrie Joy off of her record Stanzas for Music that came out very recently, and the release show is tonight at Celtic Junction. We also had new Cactus Blossoms, Hey Baby off of One Day, and Walls of the Fort by Frogleg. So I know we got the Frogleg. We're here to talk about Frogleg's 10-year anniversary, but I've also seen you playing with. By the way, I'm talking with Dimitri from Frogleg here on Desert Islands. If you're just tuning in, but I've also seen you playing with a few other folks, and you mentioned you're playing at Palmer's. Who are you playing with at Palmer's? Is it this weekend?
Greg Hall and the Wrecking Ball, and Brian Beard's opening up to 7 p.m. And this is my second time playing with him. He's a great songwriter. He's played with the White Iron Band and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
He's out of La Crosse, Wisconsin. He kills it. You should have him on sometime.
Yeah, I should check him out. And I love La Crosse. It's like that's a fun place to play. I've seen you playing with Courtney Yasmine as well. Are you still doing
that? Right. Yeah. She's it's been really cool playing with her and playing that different role of not about screaming leads. It's like, I do like little emulate a pedal steel or something, or just play long chords and let them ring out.
Yes. Yeah.
I love having that role in a band. I do the same thing with like Annie Fraser too.
Yeah. It's kind of like what we were talking about off mic of just like there's always something to learn, and just practicing getting out of your comfort zone and playing that role is just as important as the screaming leads. Although I would argue the screaming leads aren't as important as us guitar players would like to admit. Serving the song is just kind of like a lifelong journey that it never ends.
Indeed.
And you can either take that as the doomer, like it never ends, or it's just like, oh, cool. I always have a new place to grow. That's what I like about it anyway. So yeah, Frogleg, 10 years at Bunkers, kicking things off September 9th and then 10th. 9th with Nick the Feelin, and then the 10th with Ruth.
Getting out Friday, Saturday. Yep.
Well, perfect. So if folks like what they heard at the top of that set with Frogleg, where would you like them to hear it again? Do you have a preferred place or preferred streaming platform that you have?
Yeah, I'd say I prefer Tidal, but we're on Spotify, Tidal. Nice. Yeah, I think all the streaming things, YouTube. We got a bunch of stuff on YouTube. If you just say it, Frogleg, one word. We also have on Bandcamp. The link's in our like Instagram bio. I think it's Frogleg Live in Minneapolis. I think that's the best representation of what our sound is like. Yeah.
Check that out. Check out Frogleg Live in Minneapolis on their Bandcamp. And a Patreon is on their way. You have that to look forward to. But in the meantime, September 9th and 10th at Bunkers, where it all began, 10 years of Frogleg. Let's keep going with the mixtape here. So here on Desert Islands, I make mixtapes for my guests based on the 10 records they would bring to a desert island. Today I'm making one for Frogleg. And we got some Bob Dylan here on KFAI. Okay, now we have the Bob Dylan.
I put those two albums. I almost consider them the same album. Like,
yeah, with
some blood on the tracks. They're right by each other.
Yeah, like that was like that era where he recorded so much. Like, did he record both at the same place?
I don't know. I think there's like a rumor that. Well, I don't know if it's a rumor. Blood on the Tracks is a bunch of Minneapolis musicians, and
it was
we played with the guy who did organ. His name escapes me. On Blood on the, we did the Bob Dylan tribute. The Turn people were on there. Courtney Asmine.
Yeah.
That was cool. So
that's
been 2 years now.
Yeah, I know he used local players, and it was done in kind of near where that like silent room in Seward is, like the world's quietest room.
I didn't know that.
It was tracked down there, apparently. I don't think the studio. I think the building is still there, but I don't think it's a studio.
Okay.
But studios are like, I don't understand how people, without being already rich, or they're a front for something else. It's so expensive to keep a studio running.
Yeah.
Even if you get clients in, there's no guarantee that they can afford to pay you. Like there's like, so you gotta like pick up a bunch of clients on the side, and it's just like I don't know.
That's why it's not cheap. Yeah, it's not cheap to record.
No.
And so I think like when it comes to like my next investment in musical equipment, I think it really should be like Pro Tools or something. And
I'm
getting familiar with that stuff
now,
rather than another pedal.
Yeah. I'm trying to teach myself that now, because I've been all analog, and it's just like, no, I'm gonna find the crappiest piece of equipment, and whatever happens, that's what you get. Like it's like a live album in a way, where it's just like, no, the limitations of the equipment. And now I'm trying to like get myself out of that by I recorded an EP in my van, but it was all on like I had to take the tracks and dump them into my computer. So I'm trying to like teach myself Pro Tools by just like, all right, here's all the waves from that take, and like here's all this, because I think you're absolutely right. Like it's just like that's the move. Just invest in.
For me, I think the first tool it would be just like making demos of a song idea.
Yeah.
Well, I have this loop pedal that has like 8 drum beats on it, and I use it for writing, but it's like it's a little limiting. But yeah, that'd be cool to like send that to boys and see what they think.
Otherwise, you forget them too. Like it's like or maybe that's just me being in my 30s, where I'm just like, if I don't save it, I'm gonna forget it. Where when I was younger,
I just record it on voice memos or something.
That's what I've been doing.
I got a bunch of licks of. It's happened a couple times. I completely forget about it, and then
you're like, oh,
it turns into something.
Yeah, it's like the. Yeah, I definitely think. I know I didn't realize this was a controversial opinion. I like playing with drum tracks or a metronome. Like I've met people who are like, oh yeah, we don't do that in the studio, and it's like I get it in the studio, but I mean like, I think if you can't make a metronome groove, are you really in the groove?
We've done the studio. Our percussionist Doug Christensen, he's like made he's like put together click tracks that sound like a little more natural.
Yes.
Like they'll throw like a guiro in there or something, for example. And
I
and
prefer
that's
doing
nice. So it's not just boop, boop,
that. Yeah.
but that also is a good. I mean, yeah, working with metronomes is definitely recommended.
Oh yeah. Well, now
As far as
metronomes,
practice goes and stuff.
you can add those subdivisions in some of the metronomes they have, where it's just like, or you can just make it sound like a drummer.
Yeah.
Which is like, it's I don't know, but I often do that where it's like you just try to noodle to the tempo until something comes out.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
Um,
I definitely learned the second time we went into the studio compared to the first time.
yeah.
I was just completely thinking like how I play live. I'm like, I'm gonna go in there and make some shit
Yeah.
up, and like,
yeah.
and the second time I had more of an idea, but I still improv. But like, yeah,
I think you have to.
depending on the song, like it. Like I saw that like Leonard Skinner documentary. Like they went into the studio and had like all the solos, like at least the first couple albums, like they had them down.
Yeah.
Like the engineers were like, "Oh, you're done," like, and they were like in and out of there. Like they knew what they wanted. Like there's benefits to both, and of course, if you can afford a lot of time, then you can fuck around.
Well, it's also like there's like that metal trick where it's like you double your solo.
Oh yeah.
It's really hard to do that when you've improvised one where it's like, oh, that's a great take, and then you're like, it's like you can't get it quite the same. But that's also why I enjoy practicing to a click, because if you have that in a click and you have those moments where it's just like completely improvised, if everything was to a click, you can just like take that moment and put it into the whole thing. But like, yeah, there is like a weird. The last record I did with LPF was like that, where it's like that was like the first record that we were working with an engineer, where it's like, oh, this cat's done like strings for Kanye. Like we got to be like on our game, and
just come in there and wing it.
Oh yeah, he made me track everything 3 or 4 times. Not because I like. It wasn't until I listened to the mix where it's just like, I thought I was like me, the idiot, going like, I thought I got
like
that.
Doing the same lick, you're saying?
Yeah, like he just made me do everything 4 times, and then so it's like
interesting.
So you can pan it, and it has like it's almost like doubling vocals.
Yeah.
And it's like, so you just had to play every solo the same way each time, and
that's
it was
something
like,
I noticed way more compared. Like when I went into the studio the first time for the first Frogleg album, like I mean, I was like, oh sure, it sounds great, and now I hear production and different albums.
It's
panned out. It like all around me, or it sounds like it's smushed, or this or that.
Yeah. And once you like hear that for the first time, I do it with like every way. It goes back and forth. When I'm in the studio, I can't not pick apart all my records, and it's almost weird. Like the illusion is broken, where it's like, oh yeah, they're like, oh, they put that there and they put that there, and then it immediately turns off when I'm like done with the record, and I feel like I can like listen to be happy again.
enjoy it again.
Yeah. Otherwise, it's like because the studio is an instrument like anything else, and I don't know. It's not all that different from a live show, but it also kind of is. Like you kind of have to go in there being relaxed, like you're playing a show, but like you do kind of have to do your homework at the same time.
Like Jerry Garcia said, it's more like building a ship in a bottle.
Yeah. It's like
good analogy, I think.
It's a great analogy, especially for their stuff, because it's like he never really wanted something that was like he always wanted something that was more fluid, and like I feel like that's like a
he vocally he wasn't the greatest PR for his studio work. He'd just be like, yeah, it sucks.
yeah. Like even I've heard
the manager was going, Jerry, can you not say that?
Yeah, I've heard like several members of the Grateful Dead drag their own records. Like even Mickey Hart was like, I was like, I don't think we ever captured the dragon there. Like, I don't think we have a record.
I want to do that at the next studio. Like, yeah, it's not very good, but you should come out and see a show.
Yeah, it's like, come out, we suck. But that's the Dead. You kind of just have. I never got to see him with Jerry. I've always saw him like, I saw him before they changed into Dead and Company.
Yeah.
When they were like still trying to say they were the Grateful Dead.
The Dead, I think they went by Warren Haynes.
Yeah, I did see him with Warren Haynes and also the dude from
Jimmy
Aquarium.
Herring. Jimmy Herring, yeah.
Yeah, and then I don't know. I remember getting a lot of side eye for this, but like the Soldier Field concerts, like people didn't want to like John Mayer, but I think Trey was up there like afraid of like trampling on a sacred cow of like, I got it.
Oh yeah.
We're like, they're better with John Mayer. They are like John Mayer.
There's a lot of factors there. Trey said that him and Bruce Hornsby were like trying to like rehearse and be like, what songs are we gonna play at this giant football stadium in 2 months? And like, I think Trey has that whenever he sits in with another band, he's like, he's like too respectful. He's like, I want like bring it like you do with your boys.
John Mayer just plays music when he's with the Dead, and that's
and plus they got so much more time to,
But I don't know. I do think it's weird how much I like him in that band now.
I think he does a great job.
He's great.
I think, him and Otio Burbridge has always been like my ideal bass player. If I was putting together a dream band, it'd be Otio Burbridge for sure.
Fresh Air.
You got to do the
KFAI FM, Minneapolis, St. Paul.
It's like we're at
This is Democracy Now time. So now I got to make sure it starts on. Yeah. Well, I think unfortunately we got to sign off here. But
good.
Dude, this was a lot of fun. Thanks for hanging out with me. And I will definitely try to make one of those shows if I'm not.
Sweet. Yeah. Let me know. I'll list you and whatnot.
Heck yeah. Well, I hope to see you sooner rather than later. I'm going to end the broadcast here. And then,
cool.
Congratulations.
Thanks, man.
All right. Have a good